Hey there everyone! Today we're going to work on a bit of video editing using Adobe Premiere Pro. So this program is for professionals, but I'm going to help make it easy for you. I'm a professional painter, an artist. I work with my hands, maybe not as much with the computer, but I often find times when I want to do like video footage, do other things that I want to incorporate into my work, particularly with installation art. So I'm going to show you some really easy ways to go about doing some video editing, video collage work. I also do kind of stop motion animation. And so this is a simple way to just put everything together very quickly and easily using Adobe Premiere Pro. So check it out. Okay folks, so to start, we want to create a new folder on our desktop. To do that, press Command Shift N. A folder, untitled folder, will appear. Click on it and change it, give it a name. And for students that are working with me on camp, we'll call it Visual VIA and Links Camp, since we're working with visual immersive art. I can open that up and begin by airdropping my video files into that folder. So you can grab your iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, you just use you can use a charger cord here and then connect it to the computer, and we'll use a different software in order to transfer our files from our other type of phone onto the desktop of this Macintosh computer that we're going to be working with. So I have my folder on my desktop, which I created, and I have these 5 video clips that I'm working with. 3 of them are just sort of fun, sort of textural, colorful video images or clips that I created. One of them is my stop motion animation, which was hand created. And then the other one is a camera obscura film that I created as an interesting, fun experiment with a photographic historic process. So those are the 5 clips I'm going to be working with. You may work with less or more. But next what we're going to do is open up Adobe Premiere Pro. So here you have it, you see it opening up, and we're going to start by creating a new project. So a window like this will open up, and you want to give your project a project name. With this one, you want to make it your name. My name is Melissa Furness. Oops, spell it correctly, right? And underscore links video, and then that's a good project name. And then next to this, you have a project location. So you want to choose your location. Make sure that you navigate to that folder that you just created on the desktop. So go to desktop, and then there's my Melissa Furness VIA Links Camp, and then choose. Just below that, you have another folder which will allow you to grab your video clips directly from that folder. So if it doesn't navigate to the one that you just created, you want to go to your desktop, and then I'm going to find that same one that I just created, Melissa Furness VIA Links Camp folder. And then within that, you see my 5 video clips that I just showed you. So I'm going to check all of these. And then if they're checked and selected, that means it will automatically import those into my Premiere file as soon as I create this project. But before we do that, the last thing you want to do is to give your sequence a name. And so with that, you also want to give it that same name as your project. So Melissa Furness, or your name, whatever it is, and links video. And if you're following along with me online, obviously you can name these whatever you like. It's just really important to keep track of where your files are located. I'm going to hit create. And then you can see here that automatically my videos are here in the library down on the lower left. And then that's my media library. And then over here, this is your timeline, which I've highlighted in blue. and my videos are all located on the timeline. They're not necessarily in a particular order, it just automatically imports them. I find that easiest and reduces the number of steps that I need to mess around with regards to my video, since I am new and I like to make things as easy as possible. Next, what you want to do is go to your sequence settings. Under the sequence menu, choose sequence settings, and then we want to change the format a little bit, the frame size. So we're going to make it 1920 by 1080 so that it is more horizontal than vertical. This is really kind of a digital cinema format, a standard format, and this is going to be the one that we will use to showcase our film and to show to people, as well as to project into our installation that we will create. And then once you have that typed in, just hit OK. It is going to change the way things look on your videos right now, which is okay. We haven't done any editing just yet. So the other thing to think about is for this project, we're going to work only on visuals. I'm a visual artist. We're working on a visual camp. We do not need sound. We're going to create our sound separately for our installation and play that alongside our videos. So to do that, you have your timeline. So looking at the timeline, you have video tracks and you have audio tracks. You can layer these tracks as well. So you can see 3 layers for the video, V1, V2, V3. Same goes with the audio. So we don't need audio. So the best way to get rid of the audio is just to click that catalog next to the V1 track there, and just select your audio footage and hit the delete button. So select and delete, or you can select more than one at a time just by clicking and dragging across, hit delete. So our audio is now gone. Before we begin editing, go to File, choose Save, make sure you're saving your project, which is super important. So the other important thing to remember is that the reason we created the folder that you saw is that Adobe Premiere is kind of like a document. It links everything to these video files that you've created. These are not the actual video files within this document. There's a link to it, and all of these things need to be contained within one folder so that when you reopen your project again, Adobe Premiere Pro will be able to find those same video files and also the render files that we'll be creating later. So just keep that in mind. You always try to keep everything that you're working on within one video collage project in one folder so that it's well contained, you know where everything is, you're able to access all that you need every time you come into video edit. So just a description of the different things that we'll be using. I've got just the regular selection tool and the razor tool, like I mentioned. And on my timeline are all the videos that just automatically popped into my timeline when I opened up my project. However, they're not all in the correct format that I want them to be in. So the first thing I want to do is just to kind of show you some real basics of how to change these videos that you've created. So here's my stop motion. You see that it's kind of really zoomed in. If I click on the stop motion in my timeline, it's highlighted in white there. You'll see that I've got my effects over on the upper left that relate to that particular video clip. So what I'll need to do is to kind of just see what scale it is. I'm going to scale it down, and then you see the sort of the outer edges of when I was creating that animation, right? And I don't need those, obviously, so I can clip those off and change them. But the other thing too is that it's horizontal and I want it to be vertical so that people can see it properly. So there are basically these first 3, effects that you can change. You can change the position of where the video is on your kind of main video that you're creating. So you can change the position by just clicking and dragging it. You can change the scale by just dragging the slider. And you can also change the rotation, which is what I'm focused on right now. So if you kind of dump out this arrow here on the side, you can then rotate it, whatever angle that you want it to be. This format might work a little bit better for the clock tower, which is much more vertical, but in order to adapt it to this showcase video and the installation, I'm going to work with it as it is here. So I'm going to kind of scale it down a bit, and just change the position so that it's located where I want it to be. So make sure that you've got it selected before you drag it around. And then you'll notice that I have these weird edges that I also need to crop off. On your lower left here, you have just your videos that are listed here. You want to make it sure that your effects tab can be visible there. And I want my video effects visible. So I'm going to dump out that folder. And then you have all these different video effects that you can try out. If you take a look at some of them, you know, I want to look for a simple one, which is a cropping effect. So under transform, you see this crop. So when I want to apply an extra effect to a video clip, I just double click and you'll see crop show up down here on my list. And then I've got left, top, right, and bottom. I can see what happens when I drag left. That's going from the bottom for me since I changed the rotation of my video. So no need to worry about that. I really just want to do the so-called top and bottom here. So I just want to get rid of any of those sort of strange edges that you see. You see the black coming in there. And then if I kind of test it out, I can drag my play frame back and forth to make sure that it's doing what I want it to do. And that looks pretty good to me. So there's that one. And these simple things are ones that you can use pretty much on all of these videos. So what do I have here? I have my motion, which would be my position, scale, rotation, and then I have the cropping. Other things that might be interesting later will be time remapping and opacity. But I'm just going to focus on these ones first. So this is my second video clip. I'm going to highlight it and just check and see how large it is, how large I want it to be. Maybe I want to zoom in a little bit. I don't really want it to look quite so Christmassy, but you know, I can always change the color on things too. So that would be another effect that I would show you how to do, is changing your color. I most often use brightness and contrast and the lumetri color. The lumetri color, if you double click, you see it show here. We can do, I would suggest, you know, some basic correction, or I don't know, I think curves. Curves might be the easiest, where you have, these are your different channels. You have red, green, and blue, RGB, and your white. So you can click on the red and add red or take it away. You can click on the green. You just drag this curve up or down to affect the color to make it to be what you want it to be. There's a lot of different ways you can deal with color. I urge you to just fiddle around until you get what you want. So you have hue and saturation. You can mess with these, slide them around in different areas, make it more saturated or less. And you know, it's just a matter of messing around, you know, learning by doing. That's really the essential aspect here. And so you're free to play around with whatever things you want to mess with regards to color. Maybe once you've changed the color, you want to go back and move the scale around a little bit further. Then we have this camera obscura film that I created, which I think I'll scale that one up as well, so you don't necessarily see the desks in here, but only the people that are outside. They look kind of ghostly upside down like that. And then that, it could be one where maybe I want to, you know, change the color, maybe the brightness and contrast this time. So brightness would make it a little bit brighter. Contrast might be nice to like give it a little bit more definition, since that projection is pretty pale. So I'm pretty happy with that. It can also like intensify the color as well. Then my last video, this jellyfish I kind of really like. I took at the aquarium, super fun. And I can scale that one up as well. And maybe I want to like make 2 of these. So since I've gone through some of these basic kind of effects, I want to show you how you can actually multiply a video on that same kind of vision of your video frame. So this one isn't quite big enough to fill the frame, so I'm going to change the position of this first track and move it to the side. So there's 2 ways that you can add a second track. So I can either just take this same one, press Command C to copy. I can move the timeline over here, Command V to paste, and then I can just drag it up to the second video track and then change the position, slide it over this way, like this. And then I have two of them side by side moving together, which is kind of a cool effect. I like that. So that could be fun. But if I want to do something like maybe I want two of these sort of lasso dudes over here in the front. So instead of like copying and pasting, like if I copy and paste right here, then it's just going to copy and paste right over the top of my original video footage. So what I can do is go back to my media. So here's my project, and here I have my lasso kind of cowboy. I can just drag him over. But you can see there that on the audio track, there's some audio with him associated. So I'm gonna just lock the video part again and just delete that audio. Unlock, and then I can do some more editing. So I can take the one that's on the top, the up V2 track, change the position, and have maybe two of these cowboys sitting next to each other, standing next to each other, doing their lasso, which could be kind of fun. See that? And then I have my stop motion animation. I could also do a similar thing where I put two stop motion animations next to each other. Since I've already applied effects to this one, I think I do want to do just a copy and paste. So I'm going to copy this here, and then I can change like how much I see of that video footage on my timeline just by dragging the slider over here. So that's an easy way to copy and then just put my time head point there down to the end and paste it, and then just drag it up over the top. And then if I go back over here, it's right on top. You don't see it right now, but if I change the position and move it to the side, then you'll see I actually have two of those there. And I can move the lower one to the other side so that I then fill out the screen a little bit more. And maybe I'll just increase the scale of each one a bit to, let's try 50 on that one. And then I can either click and drag this scale, or I can type in the number 50. So there I have two of them side by side working together like the cowboy. This one fills itself out, then I have that one as well, and I have the jellyfish. So those are basically my three clips, but I could get certainly creative by doing a lot of other things. You can decide how much or little you want to do in terms of messing around with effects and things. Video transitions are actually kind of nice to play around with. So if I go back to my effects tab, under video transitions, you have all of these different options. There's lots of kind of cheesy ones. The one that I use the most is dip to black, or do kind of like a cross dissolve. You can do like an additive dissolve or something like that. So basically you just take this transition and you drag it over to the clip. So you see here, if I zoom in, this is my additive dissolve transition there. So it might not do exactly what you want to do. You can also delete that anytime, or you can do a cross dissolve, which again is my favorite. So I'm going to do a cross dissolve on both of them, so since I have two of them in that same frame. And you can kind of see what it will do. So there you have more of a seamless transition from one video clip to the next. Any of these video transitions you can certainly mess around with as much as you like. There's, silly ones like page peel. I can show you that one. But honestly, they're pretty simple. They're pretty easy. You just, like I said before, you just drag them across over in between those frames and you see that happen. And I can play this. You see that page peel happening. Sky's the limit of anything that you want to do. One other thing to show you in terms of effects could be playing around with maybe some transparency. Like maybe I want to take this jellyfish footage, copy and paste it, and put it over the top of a different video just to create some sort of different textural effects. So I can position it where I want first. Maybe I want to make it like really large. In terms of like making it even larger, I can even drag it out further. But in order to do that, I have to make my video clip smaller and then go back to fitting it in the screen, So if you want to zoom out, you can go to these different percentages, 75%, 25%, or you can fit it onto the screen. So then I can take a look at this opacity. That is your transparency of your video. So I can make it super transparent so that you can see this sort of jellyfish, sort of like a ghostly image on top of these people walking back and forth. So you can overlay transparency, changing color, doing different dynamic things as you create your video. So honestly, it's pretty simple. I didn't use anything more than just the selection tool so far. If I want to be particular about like how much of my video clip is showing, the main thing that I use is this razor blade. So you can take the razor blade and you can chop up a video, some video footage anywhere you like. So you can't see that now because my playhead's there, but I just made a chop there and I can clip that, move it around, put it somewhere else in my video. And the other exciting thing is that it makes it super easy that like you see these spaces in between, that's just where there's going to be black air. So I can just select that. You see that when it's white, then I can just hit the delete button and then that just closes it into the next video clip. So now I've got the camera obscura footage, then I've got the jellyfish, and then it goes back again to more of that. So I can chop things up as much as I like and move things around as much as I like. I can even like, select all of this footage and copy it and paste it down here to make my video longer. But for our purposes, keep in mind that we want this to definitely be 90 seconds or less. So you see in my time frame there, I've got like 7 or 8 minutes. That's way too long. So I want to think about paring this down and controlling how much I try to put into my video. So probably doing what I just did, it wasn't a good idea. So I'm going to press Command Z to undo it. So now it's back down to 4 minutes. So at this point, then I can really edit things and chop things up and just include certain elements that I want or don't want. Like maybe I just like this, I like this sort of red stuff that I added on the top, and I can delete the rest of the other stuff. So click, delete, and then get rid of the space. So one thing that can really help to affect the time is to play around with what's called time remapping, or basically speeding up the time. So I noticed that my camera obscura clip is a bit long, so I'm thinking I'm going to speed up the time to shorten my video so it's not quite so long, and these people will basically dance a little bit faster out on the balcony there, which could be kind of fun or kind of funny. Add something comical to my video. So basically all I'm doing is, you see here under time remapping, I've got this dumped out. You see speed, and all I need to do is like drag this line on the right side either up or down to slow time down or speed time up. And you can speed time up really fast if you really want to. So I've got it like 230% faster. And then if I have a space in between things, I can, move those jellyfish over and close in that space. That's going to reduce my full length of my video quite significantly, which will help me to satisfy those time constraints that I have. Let's just pretend that I'm happy with this. It's the right length that I want it to be, and that I'm going to export this. So the first thing you want to do, see in your timeline, there's like a yellow bar up above my timeline. That means that it is not yet rendered. What you want to do is go to your sequence and choose render into out. So once you do that, a window pops up and you see it going through these percentages. Basically what it's doing is creating one individual image per each frame and per each second that your video is. So it's 30 frames per second, however many hundreds or thousands of frames for however long your video actually is. It's creating those individual images and rendering them in your file. So now I can see it play, and then I can decide, you know, am I still happy with it? Am I ready to export? Do I need to do any more editing? So when you're ready to export, the important thing is that you see when I move my selection tool around and I click on different windows, there's a blue rectangle around them. What I want is to have my blue rectangle around my timeline, and then I want to go to File and choose Export Media. Then I want to make sure I have it, give it a name, Melissa Furness links video, which is great. Make sure I'm putting it in the right location. Got to navigate to my desktop where my original folder is. Hit save. So you see there, your render files are now located in that same folder that you created where all your video clips are. So if you ever needed to like maybe transfer this folder of video clips and your project from one computer to another, you make sure that you have everything in that one folder. You can just drag it across, and then you'll be able to open it up at another computer if you need to and do more editing. So at this point, I'm going to hit save. I have everything that I want. I shouldn't have to change the format. And then I just hit the export button, and then you'll see it exporting. So it will take a few minutes depending on how long your video is or how many effects that you've applied to them. But essentially, you know, that's it. Pretty simple. My exporting is finished. Again, make sure you file and save your projects. And then if you would like, you can then quit out of Premiere. And within your folder that you created, mine is right here, and you can see your MP4 file. This is my Melissa Furness links video MP4 file, and this would be what we're going to play for friends and family or whoever that you want to show your video to. And that's the full piece. You can just review it, make sure you're happy with it, and if you need to continue editing, you still can. So now that you have edited one video piece, we'll reformat the same video to fit on the clock tower in downtown Denver, which is really cool public art piece that everyone in the public gets to see. So what you want to do is open your original project file. So here it is in my original folder. We're opening it up, and what you want to do is go to File and Save As, and you want to give it a bit of a different name. Just add an underscore and clock tower to the end of it, and hit save. And so now you're creating a new video. What we need to do first is to change the sequence settings. So go to the sequence menu and choose sequence settings. This window will pop up, and you want to change the frame size from 3438 horizontal by 1080 vertical, and then hit OK. That's fine. It will change the format. We all know that. So you can see here that it changes, you know, fairly dramatically, because you have to keep in mind that it's going to be projected onto a clock tower, which is very tall and vertical. But we do have to do our video editing horizontally, but everyone's going to see it vertically. So you have to maybe tilt your head to the side at some point to get a better understanding of how it's going to look. Again, File, save this. This is under a different name, so we're going to change our video a bit. It'll still be the same video clips, but we're going to change it to fit this better format for the clock tower. So, you know, you want to take your, you know, maybe your cowboys and change, you know, their rotation. I want to make them vertical. So since the original video was vertical, that might actually suit this one better. So we can do that with each one of them. Keep in mind that actually the top of the clock tower is going to be to the right, so I need to actually make it 90 degrees, not negative 90 degrees. Do the same one with the other and change the position a little bit, and there they are, one up, one down. And then if I kind of try to look at sideways, then you'll get an understanding of how to look on the clock tower. Maybe we want more of the people showing. There's that one. Then if I click over to the stop motion, I'll have to do a similar thing. Change the rotation go back to kind of what I had originally. And then change the position, and I might have to crop it further. So I think I'll scale it up. And then since we couldn't see the top and bottom before, I'll go back down to my crop and fix that so that that is not visible, the left and the right, up or down, and then do the same thing with the lower one. So basically that's what you're going to do, you know, throughout the entire video that you created. Make adjustments as I've been showing you so that it fits this clock tower format. If you want to add anything in or shift anything else, you're certainly welcome to do so. These will be just kind of variations of each other. But maybe I want to kind of zoom it up a little bit further for each one, and then it will fill out the full space more. Or I could just do one of them and just make it really zoomed in. It's up to you how you want to deal with it, and you could change the cropping even further. You can make it as interesting as you like, but again, you know, the same timing should be like, you know, 90, not more than 90 seconds. So try to make it, you know, concise, but also beautiful visually. No sound once again. And then once you're happy with how this is looking, you know, you can do the same sort of editing with the transitions and different effects as you like. Then we'll do the same thing where you go to the sequence and render in to out. Be patient, and while it's doing that, it might take a little bit of time depending on how complex your video is. So before you do your exporting, just make sure that you don't have any audio tracks underneath there. If you do, you know, remember, click and lock the V1 and V2 tracks, or however many you have, and just select the audio and delete it. When you're ready, go to File and choose Export Media. And this time you want to give it a different name. Instead of links video, you want to add clock tower on the end so that we know that that's the different format for the clock tower. You shouldn't have to change anything else, and just hit export. And it'll take a little bit of time. Be patient, and basically that's it. Then we'll be able to project it onto the clock tower, and you'll get to see it really in an exciting space in downtown Denver. Very cool. So in the end, in my folder, I have located all of my individual video clips, as well as my 2 completed videos, one for the clock tower and one that will be for the showcase and for our immersive installation piece. So make sure that there's also the 2 projects and all of these files that you see here in this folder in yours. It's on the desktop with your name. Then I will be able to find them, and we'll be able to apply them in each location that we want to show them. Good job. Hey, so great job working with me today, and I think you're probably pretty impressed with what you can accomplish just as a beginner using some video editing techniques. Come back and join me again next time for another demo video.